Hey guys, here we go into a short film study and analysis on Tevin Farmer, uh, a really interesting fighter. I kind of want to dub him like the poor man's Mayweather. I love his style. I love how active he is. His kind of slippery defense kind of stuff. He's got a lot of work to do to get to that Mayweather style status, but a lot of his motions kind of make him look like a southpaw Mayweather. Even with um, his offense as well as his defense. And the first thing I want to talk about is we're going to go over his active guard and how active he is with his slipping, his feinting, how he steps on his front foot, and he uses it to disguise his punches. As you can see him moving forward, he's going to step forward here and then shoot a jab. And look at how he steps forward and then he breaks rhythm right there, and he gets Kenichi to believe that he's going to shoot the punch off of the first step right here, pop, and then catches him with that jab right there and moves off the line. Again, very active guard. And this not only helps him set his punches up, but it also helps him defensively, which we'll talk about in a second. And I love this little motion right here. Very Mayweather-like. Mayweather has that kind of, motion too. But boom, boom. And he's able to bait Kenichi into think he's going to attack and get him to commit to some counterpunch style or some moving forward and really stop Kenichi later on from being able to set his counterpunches up because of all the feinting. The feinting just works out really well for him. And I love his active guard. Again, beautiful how he steps forward right there. And the way that he really sells his feints as well. It allows him to have a very safe offense. Specifically these feints right here. Steps forward, and he's able to get a look at Kenichi and say, hey, how are you going to defend yourself? And Kenichi does nothing, as you can see. He takes a step back, and then Tevin Farmer is able to say, okay, I'll shoot those jabs then. Now again here, feinting right here, kind of going wide, right, with the hook, and then going to the body. Obviously that one lands a little low, but that's not the idea. The idea is the active guard here and how active he is with it, not only with his lead hand, but with his head movement, and how all of that kind of transpires into a craft where he looks to set his left hand up. Now, as we're going to see here, he's going to feint here, and you can see his left hand leave his head a little bit, but as he comes forward, off of those timings, he's been shooting the jab to the body a lot, and look at how Kenichi reacts to this slip to the outside of Kenichi. He brings his hands up, and he brings his hand low so that he can get away from that jab to the body. Now, again, he goes to the jab to the body, and then the jab to the body, and he does all of that, boom, to land that left hand here. As you can see, Kenichi thinks again it's going to be a left hand to the body, and this time instead of just slipping and bringing his hand up, he lets that left hand go. Barely misses there, but as you can see, he continues to work on it off that same timing, and eventually feints low, and then boom, is able to catch Kenichi with that left hand. Very interesting style, and all based off of that head movement, that stepping, right, that jab to the body, and he's able to hide his left hand to the head. Another thing that his active guard does, not only set his punches up, as we saw, he's stepping here, boom, 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 but it also allows him to create space when his opponent is stalking him. And as we see here, feinting his opponent, feinting again, able to get off the ropes. Now, again, feinting, shooting the jab here, turning, moving off of the ropes. His opponent does cut the ring off of him with a left hook to the body here. So not perfect, but able to use that timing to keep Kenichi from throwing punches at him and escape and get off of the ropes. And again, using that active guard and using that lead hand to continually create space and stop his opponent from being able to mount an offense against him. And now we're going to look at some of the bad stuff, some of the stuff that I haven't liked about Tevin Farmer. And unfortunately, in particular, it's his defense. I know that people make a big deal about it, but I'm not super sold on it. I think once he steps up in competition, he's going to really struggle with this style of defense. But what we're going to talk about right away, first off, his opponent feints him. He goes into the high guard. And his opponent comes in with a 1-2, and he shoots that jab, or that right hand, straight through where the guard was going to be. But if you look at Tevin Farmer, he can't figure out where he wants his weight. Because if you look at him, he's blocking with his front arm, which is transferring his weight from his hips, because his weight follows his hips, but his head is coming this way. So his weight is going in two different directions. right? And what he wants to do after he does this is then take that step and roll off of the line. And roll off the line, as you can see here, but he's because of the way that he's putting his head, he's putting himself a little bit off balance and a little bit in an awkward position. As we can see, his head winds up being completely out in the open for this hook. Fortunately for him, it was so early in the fight that it didn't actually pay any dividends for his opponent. But because of those contrasting ideas, the one where he wants to shift his weight to this side, right? So if he's going to shift his weight and slip that shot, he needs to slip and put his head over there as well. And then that'll allow him to make that move. So when the straight right comes this way, boom, he slips this way and then rotates and moves off the line instead of going here and then coming back and winding up with his back to his opponent and not being able to control him with his lead hand while he spins. Now, this is a recurring problem that Tevin Farmer has with his defense, and we're going to talk a little bit about it here. Again, whoops, I went so far back. Again, when that shot comes, Tevin Farmer's head comes. He tries to get his glove up. He gets all his weight on his front leg, but it winds up just walking him into the shot. Again, he's not slipping, moving his head off the line, but he's just rotating his weight and his hips, and his head is kind of staying there. Now, again, this is very interesting because he's not slipping this shot, he's not catching it, and one of the problems with this motion is that he wants to be able to spin out to his left, right? So spin out this way, boom, right, and move off the line. But in order to do that, his weight needs to be on his right leg, right? So one of the reasons why he's having trouble is because he's turning this way, his weight's going to his right leg, and he's spinning this way. And as you can see here, when he's getting away from that shot, when he's ducking down, all his weight needs to move to his left leg, right? And then allow him to pivot this way and move off the line. But unfortunately, he's ducking down, putting his weight this way, and then still trying to rotate off of his front leg, even though there's no weight on it. And he kind of gets stuck here and ties up with Konichi. Unfortunately for him, he doesn't have to pay for it because Konichi is still so early in the fight. But Konichi controls him and is able to feint him with this lead hand, roll that shot like it's a hook, and get Tevin Farmer really out of position. And because Tevin Farmer's body mechanics are a little bit off, he's not slipping and putting his weight on his right leg. He's keeping it all, trying to keep it all on his left leg. He's wind up getting tied up. And this is a problem if you go back and watch Zab Judah fights. Zab Judah had this exact same problem in a lot of his fights. And as soon as he fights a fighter at the Miguel Cotto caliber, they're just going to pound him to the body and pound him to the head. And he's never going to be able to get away from them. Now we're going to talk a little bit more about this idea. So as you can see here, right here, when that shot comes, all of his weight goes to his right leg. Right, and that's so he can duck down like this and sweep out and move off the line that way. But what he wants to do, instead of slipping and ducking and putting his weight on his right leg, he wants to put it on his left leg instead and stay in boxing position. And when that left hand comes, he needs to choose one of those directions. So the right hand comes and it comes down the pipe this way. Right? He needs to slip this way to the inside and then control his opponent and move off the line. Or he needs to pull away from it, like a pull counter style, right? Instead of ducking, right, like he's doing, but pull away from it, transition his weight completely from his right leg to his left leg, and then move off the line, and then wind up basically behind, basically one step back. Instead of taking a full step back like this, but boom, like that. And then he can come back with his own counters. But as you can see here, the way that his body mechanics have him, he's just kind of a little bit off balance. And it looks flashy, it looks like a lot of fun. As you can see here, he looks great with those motions there. But when he winds up off the line, he winds up in a position where he's not completely off the line, and he's not moving, he's not finding himself in a favorable position when he winds up off the line with his opponent. As you can see, he slips the shot this time and catches it, does a great job there, rolls away from the other side, so he's not going to take any damage to the head. Again, it's very difficult to anticipate whether your opponent's going to throw a body shot or a head shot. That's 50%, right? He does a great job of seeing that his opponent doesn't transition his weight all the way and is going to throw another hook and rolls away. And now after he rolls, so he goes boom, right? And now after he rolls, his weight is on his right leg. He's going to roll this way under that shot, as you can see. And after he takes that shot, that roll, he pivots off the line, but he winds up not going all the way out. You know, he rolls and he comes back this way so that the line that he winds up on, he's fighting his opponent as if his opponent was here on the line and not swinging his leg all the way back, boom, and getting off of the line and around his opponent. So he needs to kind of pick up a little bit on that, work on a little bit of his weight transfer. As you can see here, he finds himself in that position, and his opponent is still chasing him because his opponent has a better line than he does. Now again, exactly what I was talking about before. With his defense, his opponent comes forward. Whoops. His opponent comes forward with the jab right here. Flashes the jab. And now Tevin Farmer, because his strategy is to rotate on the outside of his opponent towards his opponent's left side, when he ducks, he's ducking forward and putting all his weight on his right leg instead of slipping the shot this way, right? But he's coming down into it instead of off the line this way. And instead of pulling away from it and then moving off the line, because of the fact that he's looking to circle out around outside of his opponent, because of that, he needs to duck this way, put all his weight on his right leg, and then move off the line this way. And that's the reason why he's getting caught with this shot here, is because he doesn't move off the line in the correct manner. And his opponent is able to walk him into that shot. Again, very dangerous style because of the way that Tevin Farmer looks to move off the line after. Rather than following his hips, right, when I talk about it in fighting, right, if you throw a left hand, right, boom. Or I'll go orthodox. If you throw a right hand, boom. You have two opportunities, right, to move your hips again, right? You can bring them back and throw a hook, right? Or you can follow them and pivot off the line, right? And then instead of being in front of your opponent, you create a new line. Unfortunately for Tevin Farmer, a lot of his defense winds up that he's fighting and he's rotating his weight off of his front leg, and that puts him right in prime danger of all of his opponent's attacks because he never shifts his weight to his back leg for defense, right? Boom, to move back and just pivot off the line, which is something that could be very effective for him. It's something that Guillermo Rigondeaux is very good at, and that's one of the reasons why he's so hard to hit. Anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I look forward to his fight and seeing how he's improved. Hopefully he's done a little bit of that. I think he's training with Robert Garcia now. So I'm really excited for this fight. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Check out my videos in the description, layering your offense, layering your defense. Follow me on Facebook and Twitter. And yeah, thanks guys.